Hi, my name is Katherine Bauer, and today I'm going to be trying to persuade my dad to read The Mirror of Tradition by Charles Chesnutt. The Mirror of Tradition is considered to be one of the most influential works in African American realistic fiction. The author Charles Chesnutt based his novel on the race riots of North Carolina around the time of 1989. The novel shows the oppressive and lawless nature of the U.S. South due to the Southern white male hysteria that was caused by the threat of the upcoming African American people in society. This novel is set in Wellington, North Carolina, and the two families that the story revolves around are the Carterets and the Millers. Major Carteret is the chief editor of the town newspaper, and along with his two partners, General Belmont and Captain McBain, he plans to overthrow the new African American domination. Dr. Miller, who is married to Janet, the half sister of Major Carteret's wife Olivia, is a well established doctor who returns home to Wellington and is surprised to find that he's often discredited despite his well established status, and he's often discredited because of his skin color. He's African American. Major Carteret's wife Olivia deprives Janet of what is rightfully hers concerning the two sisters' father's will. Olivia burns the will because she does not want to tarnish the name of her family by revealing that her father married a African American woman. In the end, the riot that was encouraged by Major Carteret and his partners led to the death of many African Americans, including Dr. Miller's son. Major Carteret begs Dr. Miller to operate on his dying child but Dr. Miller refuses and says that he will only operate if his wife Janet says that he can. In the end, Janet proclaims that she wants nothing to do with Olivia, but she will let her husband operate because she wants to show Olivia what a true woman looks like. My dad is the one I'm trying to persuade today, and my dad shows me what a real man should be and how healthy masculinity should be portrayed in a man's personality. My dad always puts his family first, in contrast to Major Carteret, who deprives his son of good medical care because of the prejudices that he has against African Americans. My dad also knows the value of hard work in contrast to Tom Delamere, who is a drunk and cheats in cards and gambles and in the end ends up killing his aunt for her money. My dad also is not threatened by the success of others, but instead focuses on his own self growth, unlike most of the Southern whites of that era. The narrative of this novel reveals the white man's sense of a lack in their masculinity and in their racial identity. Chesnutt's white characters, despite their clearly perceivable domination of sociological and political aspects of the American South, constantly discuss the fear of the African Americans who are slowly gaining their rights. They seem to be threatened even though all they talk about is how whites are the superior race and blacks are the subordinate race. Although, if they were confident about this, African Americans would not be perceived as a threat. Moreover, these white figures face numerous personal shortcomings that further conflict the racial doctrines they espouse. Examining the contradictions embodied by these characters, this essay sheds light on the display of toxic and white masculinity that can be found at the core of white supremacy. Dad, I feel like you would really appreciate this because this is the opposite of you. Obviously, many of these white men display toxic masculinity in the ways that they are insecure in their masculine ways of life, and I feel like this would be a good way for you to contrast the ways that you live your life and display yourself to your family. And everyone needs to see sometimes how they shouldn't act, and so I feel like you could really appreciate this and it could really reinforce your beliefs on what you believe a real man should be. My dad also is the president of his industrial company, and that means that he works for and with many minority leaders in his field, and he's able to acknowledge that they're able to do just as good of a job as he does, and there's no undermining the abilities of someone just because of the way they look. Because of this, I feel like you would really appreciate this novel because it highlights the major changes that we're able to see in today's society on how we perceive minorities in the workplace. Although, obviously, you know that this discrimination is not completely gone. People are no longer being lynched or killed for simply striving to achieve a better life like we are. Because of this point of view that you have, and experience that you have in your field, I believe that you would have a great opinion on Major Carteret, who disrespects Dr. Miller and all his hard work and schooling just because of his race. He went through all the same things that other people did, but because of the way he looks, he's discredited. Major Carteret cannot accept the fact that Dr. Miller could possibly save his son, which could therefore mean that a black man would be doing something that Major Carteret, a white man, could not. One example of something that Major Carteret said is Carteret informs Dr. Burns, the white doctor, in the South, we do not call insular doctors to attend white patients. I feel like you would have some great opinions on this, seeing as though Dr. Miller is just as well established as a doctor as anyone else. But I feel like you could really appreciate this, all the hard work that he's put in, and you could appreciate the major changes that we see in today's society. So I really hope that you read this book and you enjoy it. Thank you.